Hey, this is Joe Castiglione, and you're listening to Not Another Sox Podcast. Can you believe it?
Yankees suck! Yankees suck!
Buenos noches, amigos, and welcome to another episode of Not Another Sox Podcast. I am Jack Webster here with not Ian Doran this week, but with special guest Owen Brown from Pod on the River. Owen, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. First time guest appearing on another podcast, so very excited to be here and try to make some light of this situation the Red Sox are in.
Yeah, not great, but you know what? We move on. We persevere. We keep talking about this dog shit team for some reason. But for people that might not know you, like you said, first time coming on somebody else's podcast, let everybody know what you do, with your own podcast and writing and everything else like that.
Yeah, so my name is Owen. I'm one of the co-hosts over at Pod by the River. But in addition to that, I also serve as a staff writer for Beyond the Monster, and then I'm also the primary owner with We Talk Sox. I run it alongside Sean Palmer, who I know is a friend of the pod here. So, but yeah, I mean, ultimately trying to be an up and coming guy in the Red Sox social media circles and just overall the sports circles, sports media in general. I was a communications and media studies graduate from Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts up in Berkshire County in Massachusetts. So yeah, just doing all this stuff now, and hopefully one day it can turn into something bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the dream. You're doing the thing. You're, definitely making a name for yourself out there in the Red Sox universe since, the part of the reason we named ourselves Not Another Sox Podcast is because there's a lot out there. So we always appreciate, just really, the cross episodes, and it really does feel like a lot of Red Sox Twitter and content creators and whatever you want to call yourself. Like we all kind of do support each other. We all like the same thing at the end of the day, even if that thing does kind of suck this year, and the last few years really. But no reason not to have a little bit of fun here. We unfortunately, do have to talk about this team. And you're actually coming on like a very streak of us not even talking about baseball, because 2 weeks ago we had Patrick Arter from the CarShield commercials. Last week we had Jesus on, so it just keeps getting better and better with the guests. But not really a lot of actual baseball talk, which it kind of feels like we're watching the same game almost every single day here, which, we're only a month and a half in, but getting to that point of if it doesn't turn around soon, then
And you kind of alluded to it earlier, but I mean, that's what kind of makes Red Sox Twitter so special. I feel like everybody is going through the wave of this season together, and it's like we're all able to cope with each other. And I feel like for as much hate and as much trolling as Twitter has, I feel like the Red Sox side of things, it's for the most part, a very tight-knit community. And like you alluded to, I think it's just nice that you're able to bond with people over the highs, over the lows, and just overall go through the course of 162 together.
Yeah, you're hoping it might be more than 162 this year.
You do.
Yeah.
But it ain't looking likely so far, but it is May. Crazier things have happened.
No, you're absolutely right. And I made this point on an episode probably a month ago at this point. It's not over till game 51 because the 2019 Nationals showed you that if you win the 51st game of the season, it doesn't matter how bad your record is to that point. And that's actually coming up this Friday against the Twins. So I'm not worried yet. We just got to win Friday, and we're winning the whole World Series. Game number 51 of the season. I believe... I don't believe. I lied.
I mean, that is the one glimmer of hope I'm leaning on right now, because I think it was a 0.3 or a 0.4% chance that the Nationals had that year to win the World Series, and they did just that. So again, crazier things have happened. That's just the one glimmer of hope I'm holding on to, because I think they were 11 or 12 games under 500 when they reached game 51, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they're 19-31, and I remember that because I'm a secondary Nationals fan, which I'm not really doing a good job at showing it today. I got some of the Expos on. We'll do a quick fit check here. It's a little bit of a different setup than normal, by the way. I am in my room as opposed to our studios upstairs, just because it was hot up there, and we don't have the AC yet. So, little number 8, Gary Carter. We got the kid on today, so only very fitting with that. So,
and a great jersey too, I must say. I really do hope there is a world where the Montreal Expos do come back at some point, because baseball is needed in the city of Montreal, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, my fiance is originally from there, been up there plenty of times at this point. So they deserve it. Just move the Rays over there. They are begging to just get moved out of there. I love shitting on it with the guys from the Raise the Roof podcast, and they get so mad at me every single time. And I think that only makes me want to do it even more. So I'm gonna keep banging that drum. Hopefully it's just expansion. I would feel bad if another city lost their teams and fans and everything like that. But it's actually kind of, ironic, because the Nationals, the team that they became, are kind of like the best example of like the city losing a team and then getting it back like 30 years later. So there's always hope out there.
And I think the silver lining about if there is a potential strike in 2027 is that I feel like that could be a topic of discussion of potentially expanding out and maybe adding 1 to 2 expansion teams. So if there is any silver lining, because we all want baseball to be played, but if there is a strike going on, I feel like that could be a topic of discussion that does get brought up in this new agreement. And that'd be great for the game, because I think there are plenty of cities out there that deserve a team for how passionate their fan bases are for other sports.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, obviously, it's a hockey town over there. You're never going to compete with that in Canada, but yeah, and I feel like the looming threat of the lockout only makes this Red Sox season that much worse, because it's not even like, oh, let's just punt for 2027, because you're like, there might not be a 2027. And I do think that there will be, but it's kind of just like that shadow over everything this season. You're just like, yeah, enjoy it while you can. But too bad we kind of suck still. So there's that.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely not pretty by any means, but I think the good thing about this season is, like, other than before, for the most part, I would kind of have to go through the highs and lows by myself. But now I actually have people to vent to, people to talk to about, like, what would we do in certain situations, or why is the team making this decision, and what would we do differently? So it definitely is fun to kind of just spitball ideas, and again, just go over the highs and lows of 162, and like you said, hopefully more. But it's definitely, if they don't make the playoffs and then we have to wait another 2, 3, 4 months into the regular season, maybe even longer than that, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself, because this has been a staple point for me since I was 11 or 12 years old. I think David Ortiz's final year was the first year I actually started paying attention to baseball, from opening day till the final out of the ALDS. So it's going to be weird if I'm not able to put it on my TV and just have a space to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, where I might have to like actually go out there and touch grass and make friends, but no, I don't want to do any of that. I just want to sit in my room, have a beer, and drink some baseball and watch some baseball. So I do think that they'll find an agreement. I'm hoping it's just not the full season. Like, if you miss a month of the season, I think you live with that. You don't want Christy in the chat alluded to it, like the 1994 strike where there wasn't a World Series. I'd be very surprised if that ever happens. But, maybe at this point it's a good thing, since we can't beat any good teams, it feels like, or really any bad teams, or score any runs. So maybe we should just like have a meteor hit us, and I think that might be a little bit better.
That doesn't sound like a bad idea with all things considered. It's either that, or I might have to kind of familiarize myself with the Frontier League, the Atlantic League, and really become an independent baseball enthusiast.
Yeah, we could all get really back into Korean baseball again. That was fun.
That was, yeah. I mean, I mean, you see clips on social media all the time about players hitting home runs and just how loud the stadium can get. I mean, I feel like I can get behind that with just how excited and how invested the fans are into their teams and to their players.
Yeah. It's funny because Korean baseball makes it so easy. They're just like, watch this for free on this website, and then like Japan's like, no, we're gonna gatekeep the shit out of this. Like, if you want to watch this, like, you're gonna have to like buy a Japanese streaming service in like another language you don't understand. So, glad. Glad that hopefully that's not the case. Last time, the NC Dinos made me a cardboard cutout during 2020 season. So
Really? I did not know that. Wow.
yeah, well, I got really bored as everybody else was because there was nothing going on in the world. Hopefully, Hentavirus doesn't do that for us again here, but um, basically they noticed they were having a lot of American fans, so they're like, "Hey, submit a photo of yourself, and we'll make it into a cardboard cutout." So you can just see me in the background of just a bunch of random NC Dinos games, and then they sent me a jersey. So now I get to rock that. They ended up winning the Korea World Series, whatever it's called, I forget already, and they celebrated with a sword. So really doesn't get much better than that. And I think if the NC Dinos can do it, then so can the Red Sox.
Yeah, I mean that's yeah, like I said, I think game 51, that is the magic number because they usually say the rule of thumb is by Memorial Day. That's kind of when you get a sense of what version of your team do you have on your hands. And I feel like it's clear at this point. They have elite pitching, they have elite defense, they have arguably the worst offense, not just this year, but I think possibly of all time in team history.
No, and you kind of know Red Sox teams, at least the ones that, did well. They're always the mashers. They always had, David Ortiz, like you mentioned, and then, like, even JD Martinez after he left and everything. And they could always score runs because, you play at Fenway Park, even if it's not necessarily a homer's park, you're going to hit a lot of doubles. And we have just not been doing that, especially at home this year. But yeah, you're right. The pitching, it's so annoying because the pitching and defense are finally there. And we were like, this was the problem, for each of the last like few seasons, and we were always like at least middle of the pack hitting, but yeah, like you see like all the defensive runs saved and the outs above average, and we're like, we're number one in baseball, and then you have a good group of pitching, especially with Ranger doing well. Gray's looking good back off the IL. We'll obviously get to Connolly early and Peyton Tolley from this Brave series too. And you do believe in Garrett Crochet, rebounding and pitching better than a 7 ERA. And we'll also get to Brian Bayo too, I'm sure. So bullpen's fine too for the most part. Not really too many huge complaints other than, Greg going out there and pooping his pants every once in a while. You have the back end. Chapman still is like a 0 ERA on the year, like 0.6 something. So very, very frustrating season with just the way it's happening.
Yeah, and that's the big thing too, because historically the Red Sox have always been prioritized offense first, and pitching was kind of on the back burner until maybe like the last 20 years or so. And this year it is just a complete 180. It is all about the pitching. It is all about the defense. But as a result, they didn't really do much outside of adding Wilson Contreras to essentially replace Alex Bregman's production in the lineup. That's basically the only real offensive addition you make. And so it just feels like night and day in watching a different team, because Craig Breslow is getting the result he wants. He wanted to do run production or run prevention, and that's exactly what he's doing with the elite starting pitching, the bullpen outside of Greg Weiser, who, by the way, it's only when he has runners on, when he comes in with runners on, when he struggles. If it's bases are cleared, he always does great. But regardless, I mean, you're getting elite starting pitching. The bullpen, for the most part, has been nails, and you're far and away the best defensive team in baseball, and yet your below average offense is putting you, I think, 8 games under 500 now. And so, I mean, it just goes to show, I think, not really having that healthy mix of prioritizing offense and defense is coming back to haunt them at this point.
Yeah, it is what it is, but I guess we can finally start talking about, the actual baseball games that were played this week here. So we did start off with the Phillies, who were, struggling when they came to town, or, struggling to start off the season. They also fired their manager in April, which was very funny, especially with the Dave Dombrowski, linked to us as well. And then you also have, Kyle Schwarber coming back, which that was a lot of fun. But first game, it was off day on Monday, but on Tuesday, who was starting that game?
That was the opener game. So Giovanni Moran for the first inning, and then Brian Bayo making his quote unquote start after.
That's right. Yep. And it's very funny. We'll get to the Bayo not with an opener today, but it seemed like it was working perfectly. You had the start in Detroit, and then he actually looked pretty good. Wasn't walking a lot of guys. Got some whiffs. Went deep in the game. 6 innings or 6 1/3 innings, only 1 run, and you still somehow find a way to lose that game.
Yeah, and it was brutal because, I mean, when he went to the bullpen, it was a 13 1/3 innings. He had a 1.29 ERA, 12 strikeouts as well. And he was we've known him as a ground ball pitcher most of the time, but ever since this transition, he's kind of reverted to being more of a fly ball pitcher. In fact, 51.7% of his balls and plays during those two stints resulted in either fly balls or line drives. But the velocity was coming back. It looked like he found a new mentality. And it just looked like he was starting to finally get comfortable. And we'll get to it later in the episode. But just seeing the start that he had today, it just felt like we're back to square one again with how it looked like everything was trending in the right direction. It seemed like he was getting his confidence back. It seemed like he was starting to figure out he didn't need to blow batters away. He was fine. You could pitch the contact and let the defense work behind you. But unfortunately, that all went down the drain today. So I don't know what the future holds, because Crochet is going to be coming back real soon. I don't think there's no reason to be taking Peyton Tolley out of the rotation, especially with how great of a start he had in this series. I feel like that sealed the deal more than anything. And there's not really too much of a spot left for Bayo if once Crochet comes back, because I feel like every other starter is doing exceptionally well except him.
No, absolutely. And I did hear the guys on Sox Prospects mention this. I believe it was Ian Cundall specifically. It wouldn't shock me if they went to a 6-man rotation, just because you have Early and you have Tolley, being these young guys still building up. We've seen Payne Tolley really do well with an extra day of rest, kind of like he was accustomed to in the minor leagues. And Brian Bayo was forcing your hand after the last 2 starts before today. It looks like, oh yeah, like getting back on track, like actually being serviceable. I know obviously he does have options, but you would definitely prefer not to have to do that, especially with that contract involved and everything. But now, might as well just talk about today's game, even since it was an absolute pooper. It really kind of changed like the whole trajectory of what you think might happen with Brian Bayo, because you kind of just saw it in the first. You lost the game in the first inning, gives up that 3-run homer, and then I think the thing that really was troubling is even like Carlos Narvaez said after the game, like after that pitch, he was just taken out of the game like mentally. Like he just wasn't able to rebound. He looked shaky in the second inning, had some fine ones like to end the game before it started, hailing and like destroying Jemai Webster's life apparently. So I feel like he is pitching for his job. Maybe gets one more start. Hopefully it's with an opener. But yeah, the Brian Bayo discussion's becoming very real, and kind of like you're saying, it's because of these other guys like doing well in the rotation right now.
Yeah, and I think honestly a 6-man rotation, when it's all said and done, that might not be the worst idea in the world, because I feel like everybody can really benefit from an extra day of rest. We've seen it with Peyton Tolley, we've seen it with Connolly Early, Garrett Crochet coming back. I'm sure you're going to want to ease him back into the fold, and I feel like that's going to be very beneficial. But realistically, I don't know if that's going to happen, even though you have the 4 lefties and the 2 righties. It's a good way to mix it up. But yeah, no, in this game, I mean, he just could not control the strike zone or throw strikes consistently, and just was getting hard hit right away. they were working great counts. They were taking their walks. They were just hard hitting him the entire time. And really, the big thing was that just velocity, just continuing to dip down with the fastball. Was 95.7 last year, I believe, and now is sitting at 91.7 miles an hour, and kind of making the sinker heavy approach less effective as a result of that. And so that is very, very concerning because he's never been a swing and miss guy. He's definitely had an uptick in whiffs, but he's not getting the strikeouts that most pitchers would want. I mean, this is a guy who pitches to contact, and when your velocity starts going down and you're not able to create the finesse, as a result, we saw it on full display here, and we saw it on full display in the Orioles start, and the Blue Jays start, the Tigers start, and pretty much everyone except a handful. So it is very concerning for sure. And because it seemed like you were trending in the right direction, and now you're basically back to square one when you originally put him into the bullpen. So I don't know exactly what happens, but I think once Crochet comes back, a lot of tough decisions are going to have to be made because it's turning into an automatic loss every single time he steps on that mound when he starts. And so, especially in where you are in the season and you're trying to climb back to 500, having him in that rotation seems like it's only hurting them at this point.
Yeah, and I haven't completely given up on Bayo yet either. I don't think he's going to turn into that like ace or even number 2 guy, kind of like we were hoping when he first came up through the system, just because he really was like the first starter we developed in your entire life. like ever since you've been watching baseball, like Brian Bayo's the only actual like.
I mean, I do remember the John Lester and the Clay Buchholz days.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, but like literally both of those guys have been retired for 10 years at this point. It feels like.
Fair.
So yeah,
Fair.
It definitely is very refreshing seeing these kids come up and actually pitching well. What a concept. But anyways, on to game number 2 of this series, since that one was actually, pretty fun. Sonny Gray started that, looked very strong. This was his second start coming off the IL, right? Maybe
yes,
even third, yeah.
Because Detroit was I think actually it was the third because the Tigers one was the first start, I believe.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right then. And he looked pretty sharp. I mean, wasn't getting a ton of, whiffs or anything like that, but ended up with 6 strikeouts, only 2 hits allowed, 1 walk, so very glad to see that trade has been paying off well, even with, the hiccup going on the IL and everything, so down to a 3.18 ERA on the year, so that is pretty nifty.
Yeah, no, he's been doing really well, and I got to give credit to him because I think actually in that Tigers start, he only had the 2 strikeouts, and so he made it a mission to kind of try to revert back to his old ways and try to get more swing and miss, which I don't think we're going to see the 200 plus strikeout version of him this year, but what we have right now is very, very effective. He did have 6 strikeouts in this game, which I believe is a season high, and ultimately just did a really good job with pounding the strike zone, had a 68% strike rate, was utilizing some swing and miss, got 11 whiffs on the day, 4 of them actually coming on the curveball, which I think was his best secondary pitch that day. So overall, it just looked like it seems like ever since he's come off the IL, he's just been better and better. And I would say outside of the 2 blow-up starts in Cincinnati and Minnesota, I mean, he's pretty much come exactly as advertised. You're getting a high ground ball rate, and with that defense behind him, he's just been very effective. And especially with Crochet out, I feel like himself and then Ranger Suarez, they kind of have to be – they're basically the co-aces at this point, trying to kind of righten the ship until he comes back. So I got to give credit where credit's due, and he's been unbelievable since coming back from the IL.
Yeah, absolutely. And, really just goes into that strong rotation, kind of like we were talking about before. But the real hero of this game, coming off like the bench for like the first time that you're ever going to see him. Imagine like telling somebody 2 years ago, you're going to use Ceddanne Rafaela as a pinch hitter. Like it just wouldn't make like much sense, but, maybe one of the biggest swings of the entire year with that 2-run homer. Really felt like that was like a big momentum shift, like not only for that game, obviously, but you're like, cool, we got a clutch hit. We're starting to get things rolling a little bit. So that was a lot of fun. Good to see him, producing more offensively. The glove obviously kind of started off a little slow and is way back now. So I think we're really seeing the best version of him.
Yeah, I mean, this is a entirely different hitter than from his first two full seasons. I mean, he's being a lot more patient at the plate. He's not chasing because I had this conversation with Justin and Buzz in our last episode, and it felt like even last season or the season before, it was if a pitcher threw a high elevated fastball, even if it wasn't that high in velocity, it just felt like he was going to chase at it. And I feel like this time around, it's just he's being a lot more selective and swinging at pitches that he knows he can do damage with, and he's definitely been riding a hot streak as of late. I believe the OPS now is up to, last I checked, I think it was about 778, which would be a career high for him if the season ended today. And he's definitely on a much better, he's definitely on the pace, a career pace. Had the struggles early on defensively, but it's been lights out after the first 2 weeks. And I mean, we might be seeing the best version of Ceddanne Rafaela, who's putting it all together as being an overall complete two-way player,
Yeah.
offensively and defensively.
And I've said this before, if Ceddanne Rafaela posts a 100 OPS plus or weighted runs created, whatever, is like as long as he's league average, we're talking about like a 6-win player at that point. And like those don't grow on trees. That contract extension that, Craig gave him when he first came into town, looking like it's already paying off. Definitely not the Brian Baya one. But he's just a fun player too. I think like he's just like, you saw it with like the catch, I believe on Saturday evening, where it's just like it's a 5% catch probability, and he just like makes it without even having to slide or run, and like just absolutely like effortless from him.
Yeah, I was gonna say I remember seeing that live, and I just thought, you know what, routine catch, like obviously great that he caught it, but I didn't think too much of it. And then all of a sudden, I find out after the catch probability rate being, I think you said 5 or 10%, and I was mind blown. Because he just makes it look that easy. Like for somebody else, that's making a sliding catch or a diving catch, but for him to be able to just track it down and make the catch with ease, I mean, that just speaks to the volume of how amazing of a center field he plays. And I wasn't sure if I was ever going to see someone better than Jackie Bradley Jr. in my lifetime manning center, but I don't know. At the rate he's going, I mean, I think he's officially met his match at this point.
I know, like I stole the words right out of my mouth. He reminds me of JBJ a lot, just out there being able to gun guys down, like catches that you never thought there was a single chance at. But we got one more game with the Phillies here before we head to our commercial break. Ranger Suarez started that one, looked absolutely excellent again. 5 1/3, or not coming off the IL, but like he was out for essentially 10 days anyways, but 5 1/3 innings, 4 hits, no runs, only 1 walk and 8 Ks, bringing his ERA down to 2.44 on the season. So this signing has turned out to work in like spades for us at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, really, the only struggles he had was at the beginning of the year, and the only reason why was just because he didn't have a regular spring training, and he was kind of having to play catch up. But once he kind of got his arm in shape, I mean, we're seeing the version, and we're seeing why he was the big ticket free agent. I mean, this start had a 70. We knew he was never going to be a guy that blows batters away, even though he did have 8 strikeouts in this game, so which is the second most to his 10 against Toronto. But this is a guy who's uses finesse and lets batters get themselves out, specifically with the ground ball. He actually had a 75% ground ball rate on his balls in play during that start. And just overall, he can throw and actually had the velocity up in this game. The fastball was actually averaging over 93 miles an hour, which is a season high for him. But overall, just did a great job of being able to mix speeds up, utilize his fastball, his curveball, his cutter, and his sinker. I mean, we're seeing on full display now why he is the big ticket free agent. This is a guy who's going to go deep into games. He might not get a ton of strikeouts, but he's going to get a lot of weak contact, especially a ton of ground balls. And with the defense, and with this defense playing behind him, it's making guys like him, it's making guys like Sonny Gray that much more effective, because anytime a guy hits a ball on the ground, it's pretty much going to turn into an out. And as a result, they're getting quick outs and they're able to work deep into games.
Yeah, nah, obviously we would have all loved Alex Bregman being here, especially with the way the offense has been, and especially with like the way Caleb Durbin hasn't been hitting, but at least fielding. But I feel like at the end of the year, you might look back and be like, oh yeah, Ranger Suarez probably was even the more productive player. What does that mean? You couldn't have both of them theoretically, but I was very happy with that. tried the whole pitching and defense thing, and you got that figured out. But unfortunately, bats did not wake up again this game. Really not a lot of notable performances. And then, yeah, once Tyler Samaniego gave up that home run to old friend Kyle Schwarber, who terrorized us all week, yeah, you kind of knew that game was over.
Yeah, and that's just, man, that just opened up a bunch of salt in the wound, because I feel like a lot of people had Kyle Schwarber pegged as like, that's the guy you got to go after. That's your big bat that you got to bring in, especially because you had a chance to right your wrong, because they chose JD Martinez over him the first time, and you had a chance to right your wrong and bring him back. And you only have one Zoom call. You don't make an offer, and you literally it's just a one and done type deal. And he hit 2 game-winning home runs in this series, and he put on full display how valuable power is in a lineup. And Justin and I were talking about this, and I really do hope that Craig Breslow saw that. And even if they are in contention or not, especially with how weak this free agent class is going to be, especially offensively, you're going to need reinforcements. I would love to see them, even if they are out of the race, I would love to see them still bring in a controllable power bat, because it at least sets you up for, especially with the uncertainty of the strike, it at least sets you up for the rest of this year. Maybe you can go on some Cinderella run. And even if you don't, if you could have this player for 2028, it at least provide some more stability and kind of answer some more questions going forward.
Yeah, we could always trade for Rafael Devers back, and Giants are trying to get rid of him. They're starting their own fire sale, so that would be maybe the funniest thing to ever happen. But
yeah, I was gonna say, imagine Craig Breslow just brings him back, but has the Giants eat half of his salary. Like, that would be like a 200 IQ move right there.
I know. You can only dream, but. Before we head to commercial here, do you have any guesses what it might be this week? We got it right one time in the history of this show, so we're hoping to lightning strikes twice.
Guess what the commercial is?
Yeah. Thanks to the Believe Network and everything, it's kind of like auto-populated, so like some people might get one or another. So we got a lot of chances on this. So if you have any guesses, yeah.
I want to say it's a Marcelo Meyer commercial.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
Oh man.
All right, to Car Shield. And we're back from the Car Shield commercial. Probably they did say they were going to send us some jerseys, so I'm going to need to follow up with them, because they were very big fans of us essentially promoting them for free, believe it or not. So,
man, speaking of that, like, that commercial is so bad that it's good. Like, just because the acting's terrible, it just makes it that much funnier and that much better and that much more iconic, because it has certainly lived in Red Sox Twitter lore this season.
Yeah. And, I still believe in Marcelo. The defense has looked great. And you know what? I guess we can just get into, him potentially moving back to shortstop now that Trevor Story's been hurt. Obviously, he's had a very down year, which we saw in April and May of last year as well. And then he turned it around, but was dealing with a groin injury apparently throughout most of the season here, which might explain, some of the down performances, both offensively and defensively for sure. But you don't ever want to cheer for injuries, but it just felt like almost the right move, kind of, to just get him a break. Hopefully it's not even the 6 to 10 plus weeks if he does require surgery. But I think, now that he is out, you really do have to move Marcelo over to shortstop, and you probably should have done it before anyways, but it just makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising, because I felt like the answer, it was always right there of, this is your future. You chose not to trade for Ketel Marte because you believed in this player so much. And I feel like he should have the opportunity to play every day. Yeah, maybe his numbers against lefties aren't going to be great this year, but it's only going to get better if you give him more opportunities to face left-handed pitching and play every day. But that being said, Marcelo did come out today and told Tim Healy that he is going to start practicing at shortstop today, which likely means that surgery for the sports hernia for Story is more likely to happen, which I do have to give credit, because I do respect the fact that he is playing hurt and that he's trying to go out there every day, and the willingness to want to go and compete and be there for his team. On the flip side, with the numbers he's putting up and knowing that there are options on the bench, there is an Andrew Monasterio. They did recall Nick Sogard to replace him on the roster. So there were options, but the fact that I don't want to say selfish because I don't think that's the right word, but it's just that you admitted that you're not able to move the way you want to, and as a result, it's affecting your team. It is affecting your team's ability to win, and I feel like just because of that, I feel like he should have been able to kind of say sooner, like, you know what, I'm not at 100%. I'm kind of hurting my team because I can't play the way I want to. I think I should go on the IL sooner because this has been an issue since spring training, and I feel like because of that, he clearly did not play like himself all season long. And I mean, it's just one of those things where I feel like he should have just maybe said something sooner because they're in the position that they're in now. And I don't know. It's just, I could understand it from both sides, but me personally, if he knew this was going to be a problem, I feel like he should have said something a lot sooner.
Yeah, well, especially with his injury history in Boston, like basically not playing for almost 3 years, it felt like. And then finally, having that renaissance season and feeling like he was earning that contract and everything. Trevor Story, the guy, the leader, doing the story camp thing, never any issues with that. I don't think in Boston. Always seems, accountable and, like a good veteran leadership in the clubhouse. But yeah, the player this year just wasn't cutting it, unfortunately. And I also, didn't really understand why Marcelo Meyer wasn't getting any reps at shortstop throughout the year, because I get you don't want to keep moving him around position to position, kind of like they did a bit last season, but it seems like, on the days that Trevor Story did have off, you don't want IKF or Andrew Monasterio like playing there. You want like your franchise shortstop, the guy that you drafted fourth all around, top 10 prospect in baseball throughout like many lists and everything. Like, this is the guy you should not like even necessarily be marketing, but like this is like your dude, and right now you're in a perfect position with this the way the season's going to really just see what you have, hey, can he handle shortstop for 2027 and beyond? And that's, kind of when you maybe start figuring out other pieces to the puzzle, whether that's moving Trevor Story to second base or, finding who might play some of the other infield positions. So I feel like there's no better time than right now, even if Trevor Story isn't out for super long. I think you do need to make the move.
Yeah, I would not be surprised, especially because he just said that he's going to start practicing there today. I would probably say in a month, maybe sooner than that, but I would say by mid-June, he's going to be the starting shortstop going forward. And the fact that he's already starting to practice it, that probably means the prognosis for the sports hernia, he's probably going to have to get surgery. So he's going to, and I think doing the research, it could be anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks. So we're talking possibly he might not be back until maybe August at the latest. So that's going to be a long stretch. And I feel like, especially because this is your future, an opportunity presents itself. I think he's already been a 92nd percentile at outs above average at second base. He's been a natural shortstop his entire career. I feel like it just makes all the sense of the world now to put him there. They should have done it sooner to begin with, because that is your future. And a player's not only going to get better if they get everyday reps at a certain position and everyday at bats against certain pitching. That's the only way they're going to get better. It's not going to happen by sitting on the bench. And so there is a golden opportunity now. And I feel like, especially with him practicing, I feel like once he gets those opportunities to start at shortstop, he's going to take it and he's going to run with it.
Yep, absolutely. And he did homer on Friday evening. Full disclosure, I was out and about. I only started watching the game in the ninth inning, and so another frustrating loss. But Connolly Early looked, excellent. He gave up only a pair of home runs and struck out a lot of dudes. And then, believe it or not, the Red Sox bats did almost nothing that game.
Yeah, no, it was not great. And man, this series, we'll probably talk about it more, but man, Drake Baldwin, I think it's finally time to put him in we're going to put him in the Red Sox killer territory.
Yeah, with Rowdy Tellez and Yordan Alvarez. Yeah.
Jake Magnum. I feel like that's
Jake Magnum. Yep. I was so happy when he got traded to the Pirates. I was like, we only have to see him once. So that, same thing. Glad that we only have to see him, maybe once a year for the whole rivalry weekend thing, which is always so funny because like they try to hype it up and literally nobody on either franchise cares about like that they were here like 80 years ago.
Yeah, like, why would you not make it Red Sox Yankees? Like, I understand Yankees Mets in the Subway Series, but Red Sox Yankees is not only the best rivalry in baseball, it is the best rivalry in sports, period. Like, any list, they will always have Red Sox Yankees number one. It doesn't matter what the source is or who's putting it out. That is the consensus number one. Why would you not have the Red Sox and Yankees play on a rivalry weekend? Like, that is the golden opportunity to hype it up for MLB, and I feel like they just squandered a golden opportunity.
Yeah, I feel like it's just one of those like leftover ones since like, you know, you have the Nationals and Orioles like and the Cubs and White Sox and everything. And then they have to like make up things like the Eddie Vedder series between like Seattle and like the Padres, and you're like, nobody cares about this.
Yeah.
Like who's the Rockies rival, you know? Like it doesn't make really much sense, but yeah, pretty much same story with the offense. You know, there was guys on base throughout the entire night, 7 hits, even 4 walks in there, and only being able to manufacture 2 runs, and one of them was on a solo home run, I believe. So definitely not ideal. And then like, yeah, once, you know, you weren't able to score the ghost runner in the 10th inning, you knew that game was over. Like it was just a matter of like, who's gonna hit it for the Braves, and extra just salt in the wound that it was Mike Yastrzemski doing it against us. Like, yeah, kind of cool, I guess, but could have done without it.
Yeah, that definitely hurt. And I mean, especially because, I mean, outside the 2 home runs, I mean, Connolly really gave you a great start. He gave you every opportunity to win that game, and yet all you're able to get out of it is Marcelo Meyer going deep. And Mickey Gasper, who I got to give credit to, he's been a spark plug ever since getting called up, getting an RBI single. But yeah, once you kind of got to that 10th inning and you couldn't score the ghost runner, you just knew that Atlanta was going to find a way to walk it off. And yeah, like you said, of course, it had to be Yastrzemski blood that had to do it against us. I mean, Carl, I don't know. I'm sure Carl was watching that game, and I'm sure it was an array of emotions there for him for sure.
Yeah, I feel like Carl like has probably also joined us and given up on the season, so he probably just wants to see his grandson do well. So, you know, good for him. But yeah, you mentioned it, Mickey Gasper. He even started catching a game today, which. Or not today, on Saturday against the Braves with Peyton Tolley. And you have that familiarity there since he was down in Worcester, and I'm sure caught some games with them there. But yeah, man, let's keep that combo going because it really worked out well for Tolley.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, I feel like he should have been the rotation already to begin with going forward. But if there was any doubts from any fans, I feel like the Saturday start sealed the deal for him. I mean, 8 innings pitched, 2 runs allowed, 4 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. Like, he didn't need to blow batters away, and yet he was able to keep the best offense in baseball in check the entire game. I mean, that you have something special on your hands when the Braves, who I think have as a team, a 776 OPS, somewhere in that range. And yet you're able to contain them to only 2 runs. I mean, really, Drake Baldwin was the only guy that got to him the entire start. Pretty much he kept every other hitter in check. And so that just kind of speaks volume to kind of the talent that he has, and that he doesn't even – this is a power pitcher that can strike the world out. And even when he's not able to do that, he still finds ways to get out. I mean, the secondary's been coming along beautifully. I mean, you can't really ask for that much more from Peyton Tolley.
No, there's no way you can send him down once Garrett Crochet comes back, and that's, you know, what makes the Brian Bayonne conversation that we had earlier really stand out that much more. Because obviously, when you have these young guys with options, you can justify it in a way, but right now, like, his development and the energy that he brings needs to be at the major league level, and you know. As much as I like even Connolly early, and trust me, he's doing great, I think Tolley really has that true ace frontline starter like potential. Like, this is a guy where he could be like our Tarek Skubal if he's able to, you know, really have those secondaries work like he has this year, and you know, just that long extension, high velocity, like it's just impossible to hit. So very excited for him. And then We had maybe one of the top moments of the year in that 8th inning with Wilson Contreras hitting the 2-run go-ahead homer, which I was not expecting in that moment. I gave out an actual scream. It felt good. Like, that felt like I was like, oh man, the hope is coming back, and that was a really cool moment. And he's had an unbelievable year for us.
Yeah, no, I mean that was. I mean, I was Team Pete Alonso going into the off season. I was
Me
by
too.
no means was I upset about getting Wilson Contreras, but knowing that you lowballed him, I was kind of definitely a bit sour. But that being said, Craig actually proved all of us wrong because Wilson Contreras is having an unbelievable year. I mean, he's at this what do we have? He has 9 home runs, 25 RBIs, at 830 OPS. That would be his highest since the 2024 season, which he only played 84 games in. So, I mean, this is a guy who he's just taking advantage of Fenway, and not to mention not only offensively, but what he brings to you defensively. I mean, we haven't had a steady first baseman like that could seem to make every play possible, probably since Mitch Moreland. No disrespect to Tristan Casas, but I don't think he's making any of the plays that we've been seeing Wilson make. I mean, just and not to mention with a team that needs leadership, especially with Alex Bregman gone. Maybe he might not be able to fill the shoes completely, but man, he's definitely pretty close. I mean, he's won a World Series with the Cubs. He's been in the league for 10 years, and I feel like a lot of young guys are starting to gravitate toward him as well. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better first baseman addition than Wilson Contreras because, I mean, he's just checking off all the boxes for what you want offensively and defensively.
Yeah, no, and I think the fact that he is bilingual, speaks perfectly fine English. Obviously, we have a lot of Venezuelans on this team as well, so I feel like him doing it on both sides of the ball and bringing in that leadership, and having him for multiple years of control. This isn't just like a rental. I believe we have him for at least next year, and I think there's an option after that. Reasonable price. We also didn't really give up the world. I'm not sure if you saw, but we had Hunter Dobbins on the pod in the offseason, and then like 3 days later he was traded. So
no, we had him. He still was, and credit to him. Big shout out to Hunter Dobbins because after he got traded, we had an interview lined up with him before any of that news came out. And to his credit, he still came on and talked with us even after he got traded. Was a member of the Cardinals. So I do miss Hunter Dobbins because man, what a personality, what a person to talk to. But I mean, wishing him all nothing but the best in St. Louis.
Yeah, and we even said, hey, best thing for him because maybe he would have done, a few starts, like kind of in that Jake Bennett role almost, but he's going to have a lot more opportunities in St. Louis and, gets to be reunited with Chaim Bloom and everybody else over there. But yeah, in terms of, like moves that or guys that you could have gotten for first base, I would have loved Pete, like he said, but there was really nobody that's a true better fit for us right now.
Oh, no question. And I mean, it was only him and Caleb Durbin, and I guess Isaiah kind of left with them with the offensive additions. But I mean,
who?
Yeah, I mean, I wish this team did a lot more, especially with the offensive free agent market or trade market. But I mean, Craig definitely hit it right on the hammer with Wilson Contreras because I mean, he's giving you everything that you want. There's no better him and Willier, especially the two most well-rounded players offensively and defensively on this team. I mean, you could not ask, and especially with the leadership he brings. Talks about bringing up the intensity, trying to get people to kind of buy in and fire the team up. I mean, you cannot ask for a better player. And unfortunately, it sucks because I feel like if the team wasn't doing this badly right now, I feel like he'd be much more of a fan favorite than I feel like people kind of view him as now because obviously the team's not doing well, so there's not a lot to be happy about. But man, if this was even a 500 team, I feel like people would be talking about Wilson Contreras a lot more.
Yeah. Well, there's still some hope, I guess, but not when you lose a game in the first inning. We obviously alluded to it earlier this episode, but Brian Bayo just gave you absolutely fucking nothing today. It was back to the same old bullshit. I'm not sure an opener would have really even fixed it. I know that was kind of the narrative with everything after it did work the last few times, but it's just not cutting it.
Yeah, I mean, and again, we kind of talked about it sooner, but decisions are going to have to be made because I think Peyton totally shut the door on going back to Worcester firmly because there's no way you can send him back now. You have Garrett Crochet's coming back soon. It could be this week or next week that we see him back in a Red Sox uniform. And so decisions are going to have to be made. The 6-man rotation definitely is a possibility for sure. But if they want to go with the 5, somebody has to get moved. And you're not going to take out the 4 guys that have been performing and have been keeping you afloat while your ace has been gone and have been giving you every possible chance to win, even if the record doesn't show it. So decisions are going to have to be made. Unfortunately, Brian Bayo is the odd man out as things stand. It's not to say that his career is over. They gave him the extension for a reason, and there could be a possibility that he does bounce back for a long period of time. But as things stands right now, you're trying to climb back to 500. That is the biggest goal, to even try and salvage your season. And when you have a guy that's routinely giving up 5+ runs almost every single start, you're not going to win a lot of those games, especially with how up and down this offense has been all season long. So you need pitchers that are going to give you a chance to win every night. And unfortunately, Brian Bayo just isn't doing that right now. So could that mean, and maybe we keep going with the Nick Pivetta. Maybe the Nick Pivetta role is what he needs right now, where I mean, it wasn't even the opener strategy. I feel like he would be a long reliever for you at times. He would kind of sometimes give you those 5, 6, or 7 innings, but most of the time he was kind of that long reliever. And so I feel like and it ended up working wonders, not just for him when he came back to the rotation that year, but with his career since with the Padres. So maybe that's exactly what Brian Bayo needs to get back on track, because unfortunately, it's back to square one. And so I feel like just a month, maybe 2 months in the bullpen, maybe see where he's at by the second half of the season and make your decision there. But what's going on right now just isn't working. And with the team that's trying to win, you need the best 5 going for you.
Yeah, and honestly, doesn't matter too much if he gives up 3 or if he gives up 7 when the bats don't come around at all. We just saw an entire week of baseball where the Red Sox were unable to score 4 runs in a single game. And
have you ever seen that? Watch that, because I don't think I have.
Yeah, it's mind-numbingly, and it's not even just like being bad, because we'll hit leadoff doubles and then just nothing's coming after that. There's not going to be that grand slam or that big 2-run homer except for the other night. But it just is not working out. And I think the thing that's also troubling is, other than like Roman Anthony coming back, it doesn't really seem like help is on the way either. You kind of mentioned it earlier. Hey, maybe you do get that like long-term bat just to do something at the deadline, whether it's like kind of a mixed bag or playing for the future or something. But it's really on these guys to just turn it around right now.
Yeah, but and also too, kind of going off that, not only do I think they should do it for the future, but I feel like Craig Breslow just has no choice at this point, because this offense that he put together, this is the result of what is going on right now. And I feel like his job he's certainly on the hot seat right now as things stand. And I feel like if he doesn't get that bat, that might be the only way he salvages his season. If he doesn't get it, I mean, and the offense keeps doing what it's doing, I don't see how there is a way to justify him staying here, which people are already calling for him to be fired, and rightfully so, because we see the product that we see on the field. But if he doesn't get bringing that bat, and we see this version of the offense for the rest of May, for the rest of the season, for that matter, I mean, there's really no choice at this point. And so I feel like he's going to have to do that to save his job, and we'll see what happens. But I just feel like regardless if they're actually in it or not by the time the trade deadline comes, I feel like there's just no other choice.
Yeah, no, you're going to have to make some tough decisions. I'm not too much into the like making mock trades and everything just yet.
No,
Well,
me
I'm gonna
neither,
give it
but-
another month. Like mid June, we'll have a good idea of what direction this team's heading in. Somehow, we're still only like 2 or 3 games out of a wild card spot
Yeah.
because it's just complete mediocrity like across the American League, except for like 3 teams. Unfortunately, one of them's the Yankees, but like literally, I think we're 8 games under right now. Like we have like another 10-game win streak, kind of like we did last year, and then all of a sudden we're like right back in it. So that's why it's kind of hard to not just completely give up just yet. And I think, Fangraphs has this around like a 25 to 30%, which feels a little generous right now even, but like it's too early to really pull the plug on everything, despite firing your manager already and like having these massive changes with everything. So we've seen Craig just do things right out of the blue before, but I'm not sure it's anything happening in the immediate future. And then as I say that, I already realize there's going to be some shit that happens this week and we're going to have an emergency episode. You never know.
Because you had Chapman hugging guys in the bullpen. You also had Franklin Arias getting taken out in the 5th inning. So immediately we started already getting on trade alert this weekend. Fortunately, as we know, no trades did happen. They're both still in the organization, but we're already on high alert. I don't remember a time where that has ever happened watching the Red Sox, where you had 2 guys kind of doing that stuff hand in hand, and you had everybody on Twitter was going crazy about, did we just trade them? What did we get? And just the whole 9 with that.
Yeah. No, I knew it was a whole nothing burger, and it was funny to see people's reactions with everything. They're not trading Aroldis Chapman in mid-May, but if they did, the return would be insane. But you want that like leverage between teams, where the asking price starts to go up. And again, too early to start talking about like where that might be or what the return might be. But, as we wrap up here, we do have our favorite segment here.
A little extra mustard.
Oh my god, that is so bright when it's right in front of you. But yeah, for if you don't follow, us, or it's your first time listening, we do have what's called a little extra mustard, where it's a player this week that really stood out to you. Not even necessarily like the MVP of the week or anything, but somebody that, gave it a little extra mustard or just had an extra play here. So as our guest, who are you giving your mustard to this week?
Ooh, that is a tough one. I feel like a sleeper could be Vicky Gasper, but I'm not going to go there, unfortunately, as much as I love him. But I think I got to, I think I got to go Peyton Tolley. I feel like that was a career start that we saw from him. The first time in his professional career ever that he went 8 innings, and doing it against a team that has the best offense in baseball, and holding them to 2 runs, both of which came off the bat of Drake Baldwin. So pretty much shut down the other 8 hitters. You could not ask for a better performance than that. And I feel like that is just, anybody that had any doubts about Peyton Tolley, I feel like any of those doubts are firmly shut, because just everybody loves him. We kind of talked about it. We know the personality, we know the potential, but seeing it on full display against a team of that caliber, I feel like there's just nobody better to give my mustard to than Peyton Tolley.
Yeah, I think it's the second week in a row he's gotten somebody's mustard since he had another great performance, I believe, in Detroit last week. So always good to, have a repeated winner here. But I am going to give my mustard to Michael Gasper. That was going to be my pick, especially with him being able to catch Peyton Tolley's start. I think once, we do move Marcelo Meyer over to shortstop, this is my guy that's playing second base right now. And I don't know how good he is or isn't there defensively, but he is able to kind of play all over. And they're obviously trying to find any way to get in his bat in the lineup. I think it was extremely telling this week when they had him DH over Yoshida, even though there was a righty on the mound. So they really like him. The under the hood stuff, obviously extremely small sample size, but he's hitting the ball hard. He's not striking out a lot. I'm hoping the defense, is just stable enough. We could honestly, sacrifice a little bit of defense if it does mean, a guy hitting home runs and getting on base and driving guys in. So I did not really think too much of it. It is very funny that Giovanni Moran and Mickey Gasper are on the same team now, coming together in that trade. So I'm excited. Hey, if the season's going the way it is, you might as well see what you have with them.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every game up until this one today. I mean, he got a hit every single game that he started, and he's really just been a spark plug. I mean, he was raking in AAA. I believe he had I think it was a 949 OPS, or it was something absurd. And then comes in, immediately has a 3-hit day in his first game back, and just proceeded to get so many clutch hits throughout the week between the Phillies series and the Braves series. I mean, you could not have asked for a better offensively. He was by far the guy I'm giving my mustard to. Just had to go I had to go Peyton Tolley just because of the career start and what he means, not just for this season, but for the future for the Red Sox. But nonetheless, I mean, in a time where the offense is just really flat, Mickey Gasper really seems like the heartbeat, especially for this week.
Yep, and we have Zach in the chat pointing out it looks like Peyton Tolley would eat 8 hot dogs for each inning pitch, which I feel like is kind of the perfect amount. So
he is a big hot dog and banana guy, from what I heard.
Yeah, hey, he's just like me for real. But as we wrap up here, wanted to obviously thank you for coming on, pinch hitting for Ian here. So once again, let everybody know where to find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on all socials at Obro Media, OWBRO Media. And then I also do run We Talk Sox on Instagram. So if you want to give a follow there, that'd be very well appreciated. But my man, thank you so much for having me on. It was an absolute blast. Hope to be back on in the near future because this was fun. This was a ton of fun.
Yeah, hey, hopefully we have more good Sox talk in the future and not just the same episode it feels like every week, which has kind of felt like the story of the season so far. But make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're listening, follow Believe Network, all that good stuff, and I love you. Bye.